There is quite a bit to cover in this instance and this episode of World of Warcraft glitches, so there's not really much time for a fancy introduction. Instead, you're just going to watch my character dance. I hope all of you are really loving these out-of-bounds areas. I love finding them and showing them off. I've been exploring hidden areas in World of Warcraft ever since I found a guide on how to glitch underneath Stormwind back in the Wrath of the Lich King, as I mentioned in the last video. It's so much more than that now. Now I love just making these videos to show them off to whoever wants to watch them. If you like these videos in any capacity and you would like to see more of them, I have quite a few on the channel. There's many more to come as well, and be sure to like this video, leave a comment on areas you would love to see, and well, you know the drill, subscribing always is
a paltry task.
Welcome to part 5 of the Caverns of Time glitch series. In the last episode of this series, we explored the out-of-bounds area inside of an instance with massive lore importance and massive amounts of nostalgia, the Culling of Stratholme. It's one of my all-time favorite instances. Today we will be exploring another instance with massive lore importance, and we will attempt to escape from Durnholde Keep. Stay tuned for this one, as it is very interesting. The escape from Durnholde Keep is actually a pretty fun instance in my unpopular opinion. It's another dungeon that works as an escort quest, much like the Hour of Twilight that we explored in both episodes 2 and 3 of the series. You eventually have to escort Thrall out of the keep, and he moves very slowly. Many people do not like this mechanic, and I don't really mind it too much. One previously unique feature about this instance, as far as I'm aware, is that it takes place in an entire zone. Very few, if any, dungeons were set up this way prior to this instance. Now, I could be wrong on this, but it seems that way for sure. You can actually explore the whole entire outer area, and in some parts of South Shore contain very important lore as well. I recommend coming here just to explore the normal area. But that's not what you're here for, is it? You're here to see the entire out-of-bounds conglomerate that lies within this instance. I mean, there's multiple zones that you can explore here. Now, obviously, I am not the first person to explore this out-of-bounds area. Both YouTube channels, one called Senpai the Explorer and Hidden Azeroth, are both channels that have covered this instance, and they do show some stuff off that I may not. So I recommend watching their videos on the subject, as they both have different styles of videos. As for me, once again, I discovered this glitch before I knew anyone else had done a video on the instance already. I was just screwing around as I recorded this months ago, and I'm obviously going to have to re-record parts of it here or there. And I only realized that others had made videos on this place when I started writing the script. I did not watch their videos until after I finished the recordings and most of the script, so that way you have my genuine reaction to what I found. Their videos will be linked in the description. The only recommendation I would suggest before you attempt this glitch is to carry with you some inky black potions. This will make exploring the out-of-bounds area much more enjoyable. I actually had to go back and record some areas using the inky black potion because I watched Hidden Azeroth's video and he used them, and that was very smart of him to do that. Let's move on. How did I discover this glitch myself? Well, one day when I was bored of World of Warcraft and insanely curious, I decided that I was going to start exploring random maps throughout the game. When I hit level 60 on my Demon Hunter, I really had no desire to do any of the in-game content, and realized that with Door of Shadows, exploration would be incredibly easy. This instance was one of the very first ones I tried to explore, and was a second invisible barrier that I attempted to break past, second to breaking out of bounds behind Stratholme, which can be watched on the channel if you are interested. It is one of my earliest videos though, so it's gonna be a little hard to watch. I apologize for that. I pretty much ran along the edges of the zone and attempted to metamorphose anywhere I could, as the spell, along with others like it, will allow you to sometimes jump past a barrier. Now with all the fog, it was quite hard to see what was going on, but if you end up having the potion with you, it's much better. I tried this for a long time and failed to get out of bounds along the whole way down the barrier until I reached the ocean. Sometimes other areas allow you to glitch to the other side of the barrier in the water with little effort, but this time it seemed impenetrable. That is until I swam underwater, and voila! This little area here allowed me to fly through the barrier. We are out of bounds in the Caverns of Time instance, the escape from Durnholde Keep. You all know what that means. It is time to explore. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for that. Please. That was dreadful. The very first place I wanted to explore was the east. If you know your Azerothian map pretty well, you'll know that Gilneas and Silverpine Forest lie in this direction. But how much is left in this instance? On the way there, I stopped at Purgation Isle, or Purgation Isle, I guess it is. Now, if you have inky black potions, you should definitely use them at this point. I did not have them when I first explored the area, but if you do swim underneath the water, your visibility will greatly increase. Now, I went back and re-recorded this area, and I did use inky black potions, and it's much better. One thing that you'll immediately notice about this out of bounds area is that it is completely massive. They cut out a large chunk of the world in order to create this instance, just like they did to Dragonblight in the Hour of Twilight. One really cool thing about this area though is that it's technically no longer explorable in retail World of Warcraft because, well, the Cataclysm changed everything. And here we have the full version of the vanilla Hillsbrad Foothills and some other areas that you'll see. Immediately upon arrival to the island, I found this table with some books and a shield in front of the gate. Now this area again was remodeled in Cataclysm, but this is what it would have looked like in the vanilla game, and you could probably find this in Classic WoW as well. The lore behind the isle is that it was filled with ghosts from the Silver Hand that were banished by the Paladin. It makes it a bit spooky knowing that this place was previously filled with ghosts and now it's completely empty. Be careful of falling here, as you'll have to come back to the eastern part of the island in order to keep exploring. In this part, you can actually find a statue of a paladin, followed by a pathway to the top of the island where you can see light posts, fences, and eventually you will reach this tower. There is a music change here, but nothing else too spectacular. Other than those things, I did not see much else on the island. So, let's continue. So now, the first time I went through this area, I did not have an inky black potion, and so I had to traverse through the Fog of War, and it was quite difficult. But when I went back through the area using the potion, I actually discovered a mine over here. You would have completely missed this without the potion, well, unless you knew the area really well. I'll leave a short clip of that here if you want to check it out. If you travel beyond the mine, you'll see a tower to the left and a farm to the right. The farm is considered the Brazy Farmstead and has a variety of farms and orchards that you can explore. It's an incredible, neat, out-of-bounds exploration and gives us a great view of what lies ahead. Here's a quick montage of that area. This area obviously is similar to the vanilla version. However, you can't normally explore this area in retail, so I just think it's a really neat exploration. And when you go towards the west, you'll see this tower over here. It's pretty neat. There's a slight music change and nothing crazy about it, but you do get a good view of the area. Let's travel back eastward along the path until I reach the south front gate heading towards Silverpine Forest. To get past the gate, I easily jumped on the right-hand side of the mountains and continued exploring the path. You'll notice that we are now in Silverpine as the lampposts now glow ominously green. Here's where we run into a second invisible wall. Great, but nothing that a Venthyr demon hunter cannot handle. I clicked around fairly randomly in order to find a little area to use Metamorphosis to fly out of, and after quite a bit of clicking, it did work. I reached the edge of the map and there's not a whole lot to see, except this broken light post. A suitable light post for the end of a broken path. I was really hoping that Gilneas would be here, but it's just a little bit too far south to be included. Instead of doing any backtracking, I wanted to head north to see what lies past Silverpine Forest, and I end up on the other path that heads north from the split off that we saw earlier, and continue to travel on the path for a bit. As we travel, we reach Ambermill Farms. Take a look. How cool is it to explore an area now no longer accessible in the actual game? Well, technically it does exist, but it was changed like most of the world in Cataclysm. And yeah, it does exist in Classic as well, but this is still incredible. As I traveled northward, something amazing happened here. The fog of war completely disappears. We are in Lordamere Lake, or at least what was previously Lordamere Lake. Now, if you had inky black potions, then you've already had a much better view than if you didn't, but almost the rest of the exploration will not be enveloped in the fog. The area is massive, so let's explore it. It's amazing to see all of this area with no water over. The fish don't seem to notice though, as they continue life like nothing is wrong. All of this is in the vanilla version of the map, but it is much harder to explore because of the, water. So even then, technically this area is still accessible in some form or another, but it's not explorable without the water. I traveled alongside the southern edge and checked out all of the Murloc huts until I reached the eastern edge of the map. Looking over, I can see part of a gold mine sticking out here. That's a bit unique. I've not seen that when looking over the edge before. Now after I explore a tad more, I end up finding Fenris Isle. And I just realized something at this point though. The air isn't murky or plaguey. So once again, the exploration is even more unique as it's Lordamere Lake without the water, and it's also bright and colorful. And the place is quite interesting to explore. I noticed a weird skeleton sticking out of the ground, which is pretty neat. Now I traveled around the lake a little bit more until I reached this house here. Now the music changed like it does quite often in these buildings, but for some reason it was even more peaceful than normal. I feel like if I was an avid RPer, I would choose this place as my primary location. An alternate universe of Azeroth where I look over the infinite ocean in what used to be the Lordamere Lake. I mean, yes, there are floating fish, but that's a minor detail. Next, after a small amount of parkouring, we travel westward, and by this point, if you know the area pretty well, you'll know that we are officially in the Alterac Mountains and can fully explore the Alterac Ruins. Join me in this exploration. Can I just say that I love the music change when you run out of the barracks? It's an old song, but still to this day one of my favorites in World of Warcraft. The last part of this area is this cave. I love the music change here as well, but I think that this cave is actually where you save Metzen the reindeer during the holiday events. Could be wrong about that though, I'm not entirely sure. Now we leave the Alterac Mountains and head westwards. Along the river to the south, I notice a troll village. I quickly look through it and then I travel up the river northward. Weirdly, it just kinda ends. It's a bit strange, but okay. Traveling all the way north leads to the edge of the map If we look around towards the east, we can see some dwarven ruins in the background. Before we head that direction though, there's an area I wanted to explore after having watched Hidden Azeroth's video. He went westward at this point, and if you continue west, you'll actually reach Uther's tomb. He notes that the whole area was completely redone in Cataclysm, and this is what Uther's tomb looked like before the Cataclysm. Not only that, but you can also explore a little bit of the graveyard here. That means that the Western Plaguelands is also included in the map, another zone that we can explore, partly, of course. Now that the western area is covered, should we head east and explore those dwarven ruins? Well, duh, of course we should. Note, I recommend that if you are going to keep exploring at this point, you may want to save this area for last, as it is very difficult to get back up to this area. Now, I traveled west into the mountains a bit, and I found it difficult to parkour compared to the rest of the map. Just be careful in this area. It seems to be a place that can really trap you. There's a strange invisible wall here that used to be a pond, and I recommend sticking to the left side of it. I'll show my exact path to the area. And bang, there we are, Airy Peak in half its glory. Shall we explore? I jumped down, and here's a warning. Be careful about what buildings you explore in the area, because the inside of the buildings are not completely mapped and they lead into a solid wall. But I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, I did get stuck in one of them when I first explored the area. Watch your step. Here's where I hit my first major issue with exploring. If you continue on this path here, it leads to an invisible barrier. It's not good. I tried Metamorphosis and Door of Shadows multiple times and ways, but nothing seemed to work. The only way to continue was some incredibly precise parkour. I actually stopped recording for a bit because I was taking so long to actually perform this jump. But basically, you'll need to reach this point, and then you'll jump all the way to the other mountains. When you accomplish that feat, you'll have to continue making it around the mountain, and then when you accomplish all of that, you'll see the first glitch texture on a journey. Typically, these out of bounds areas are flooded with these textures, but this area is the only place with weird textures in our journey so far. You'll kind of notice that we are directly above Durnholde Keep now. Obviously, falling to the keep would bring me back into bounds. I think there's actually an invisible barrier that would block me from doing that. But I don't want to do that like I did in the Terrace of Endless Spring. That was, oh man, I was so sad. Instead, I stick to the northern mountains and glide down towards Arathi Highlands. I explored this little farm here, but I cannot remember the name of it. It's pretty simple, but it is interesting to look at least. Now let's head over to Stormguard Keep. You'll notice something a bit off about the keep, as typically there are walls surrounding it. but the keep is instead surrounded by weird textures. Kind of strange, but when you head far enough around the keep, the fog of war does come back here. Makes me a bit nervous, as the first time I explored this area I didn't have inky black potions, so I headed into the keep itself, knowing that I won't get stuck or fall anywhere. Well, here it is, Vanilla Stormguard Keep in all of its glory. There's quite a bit to see here, and thankfully it isn't all trapped in a fog of war. So I'm gonna just show off the area, and feel free if you know what this place looks like from Vanilla Wild, you can skip this. It's fine. Now the last place I explore in the keep is the church, and behind it is the crypt of the former King of Stormguard. Weirdly, this place is a crypt in game, but here it's covered. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's quest related or what, but also when you walk over it, the music quickly changes. Nothing too weird or anything, but definitely something to note. That's it for the Stormguard Keep exploration. Now again, things here get pretty tricky. I head behind Stormguard and into the Fog of War. The best thing to do here is to check your surroundings as best you can. If you're not able to use an inky black potion, then use the minimap as your guide. I follow the path back here fairly closely. There's actually a cave here, and thankfully it was traversable, so I continue on this path until I hit the water. If you don't have an inky black potion, you can go under the water and you'll have a much higher visibility, and you're able to see a whole lot farther. So I headed westward, and then the Fog of War does clear up. I continued, and there is this little pirate alcove with a ship. I'm at the point again that if I was an RPer, this would be absolutely perfect. That makes two perfect RPer locations in the Out of Bounds area. I could have my own cave and this pirate ship, and this time I'd be able to sail the infinite ocean. What a neat little area this is. Be careful with this cave back here though, as you can get stuck here fairly easily. It's right at the border, so technically you should not be able to traverse it. So sadly, that's the end of the south and west border. Before I travel to the last area that I want to show off, I also want to make note of something very strange in the instance. There, for some reason, is a map of the Caverns of Time here. How and why is this here? And more importantly, can it be explored? If you know any more information on this strange occurrence, please let me know in a comment. I mean, I tried my best to figure out a way to explore this place, but I couldn't get into it. Well, I didn't see anything else noteworthy in the area, so I had one last place that I wanted to show off in this video. That would be the former Dalaran area. Now, this is a vanilla World of Warcraft instance, so there shouldn't be a crater. Before, there used to be a giant purple shield over Dalaran, before it was moved to Northern, of course. So what's left here in the instance? Traversing back along the mountains was treacherous and inconvenient, and I could understand someone just resetting and starting again instead of trekking back through the mountains, but I went for it. After passing back through Alterac Mountains, I found it. It's pretty strange looking, and there's no purple shield or craggy terrain, and instead it's a circle of dirt with ruined buildings all around it. I'm going to just show you what I explored. That's the entire out-of-bounds zone for escaping Durnholde Keep. We traverse through the Hillsbrad Foothills, we traverse through Silverpine Forest, we traverse through Alterac Mountains, and we traverse through part of the Hinterlands, as well as finally coming back to Arathi Highlands. Again, make sure to check out Hidden Azeroth's channel, as well as Senpai the Explorers. They both have great content, and with Hidden Azeroth, you'll get an even better view of certain areas, and you'll also see some other areas that they covered that I did not. So thank you guys again for watching this video. I really appreciate all the support I've been getting, and I hope to see you guys continue to, comment or like the videos, or, get new subscribers all the time. So thank you guys again for watching. Game Uncrafter is out! Thanks for watching.